So we got a great show planned for you today, guys. We got a few topics to go over. It's gonna be pretty fun. Well, we'll go to the guest. Todd, which topic jumped out the most at you that you would like to go over?
I think the rescheduling of marijuana for me is a big one that I think the fact that we're even still having that conversation. I feel like even unless you're a super hardcore conservative person, even the typical conservative is like,
Yep.
The heck is marijuana still a Schedule 1 narcotic? And why are people still going to jail for it? So it's pretty clear that the American people have wanted for a long time for that to change. So it's kind of one of those issues for me that kind of points out the government really doesn't work for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really doing what we want. Like it's how many years we've been talking about this now, and it's still just kind of this tease of like, they're about to do it.
My biggest thing with it is usually when the government is doing something that is against the will of the people, especially something that is so starkly against it. I mean, 70% of American adults support marijuana legalization straight up, not even decriminalization or moving it down from a Schedule 1 drug. They straight up want it to be recreationally legal. And whenever there is such a stark contrast between what the American people want and what the government is doing, usually I go, oh well, clearly there's moneyed interests lobbying them. But legal marijuana is already a $35 billion industry. There are investors waiting to, very rich, very wealthy, very powerful investors waiting to jump into this market and invest in it and want the government to legalize it for that reason. So it really, this is one of the things that surprises me most, that it's taking this long to move past. And I know that pharma is entrenched and they're profiting off this, the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex obviously profits off of this. There's obviously people profiting off of marijuana being so illegal, but also there's so many people who would profit if it were legal. And I'm surprised that doesn't kind of cancel itself out and Biden just makes the very popular choice here. I don't know. What do you think, TJ? Do you think I'm crazy that the money is relatively even on both sides here?
I don't know. It's hard. So I think it's kind of a mix of the fact that there definitely is money involved because it is a big industry and investors could get into this, but what may be one of the biggest industries in the country is pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to imagine that if there was just a plant that could alleviate a lot of symptoms that they go buy, stuff for, that they won't take a hit. It's they won't collapse, of course, but and they could try to market their own, but this is something, it's you can grow this yourself. You can grow it yourself. You can buy it from anyone on the street who grows it. And we've been using it for so long. People have kind of figured out a lot about it and how to regulate the dosages and stuff. So it's not like it's this brand new substance that has a lot of danger to it that people are scared. I was no, they're already using it anyway. They're just doing it illegally. So I don't know if, they sell, weed Trex or something, whatever pill they come out for it, and it's not going to, work quite as well. But I do think that there's actually a genuine ideological opposition to this from people like Joe Biden. I do. I think that it's generationally, they really do think, no, this is wrong. Adding another legalized intoxicant into the populace is going to have some negative side effects, and it will. It will. It absolutely will. But you have to weigh that against, the damage that's being caused by making it illegal and the lives that it's destroying. So with this, and you mentioned the public support for it and everything. This is something that I'm almost going to have to admit I was wrong. Almost. We'll see, because I've been saying for years, ever since Biden first came out with his announcement about this thing 2 fucking years ago, that it's insane that marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug and that, it's not as dangerous as heroin. And now, oh no.
We're
do you guys still
see right here? Yeah. We're there he goes. I'm just going to hop right in. Oh, wait. Are you back, TJ?
I'm back. Okay, I'm back.
Okay,
all right, cool. All right. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, saying that he was gonna, check on this everything. So now it's come out that the DEA did their review and they said, okay, we're gonna lower it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, which did surprise me. I didn't think the DA would do that, or the DEA would do that. That did kind of surprise me. But there's still like 9 more steps to this thing. It's got to go to the Office of management budget. Why? I don't know. And then it's got to go through another step of public inquiry. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means, like public questioning or something like that. And then there's one more, and I haven't seen every article I read about this says this could be a rather lengthy process. I'm not even sure how long this would possibly take. And like Todd was saying, all of this work to do like 5% of what needs to be done. It's obnoxious. It's obnoxious. And Biden, if he thinks this is what's going to win him over some of the youth vote that he lost, buddy, no, this isn't going to do that at all. It's not going to really galvanize and energize the populace on this stuff. So it's just bad politics to me. It's just really bad. I don't know what he plans to do here. What do you think his whole goal here is with this, Todd? What do you think?
Yeah, I've almost given up trying to make sense of what is coming out of the White House right now. Like, I feel like it's a swing and a miss about every week about something different. So I'm trying to make sense out of it. I just wonder, like, there's some other things about the money. Like, I don't know how much money is out there to be made. I would like to think that, the Philip Morris is out there, can't wait to make Marlboro Greens and make tons of and that they've got lobbyists out there trying to make that happen. And then I think there's probably, how much of the border issue do you lose if you completely end the prohibition of marijuana? How much of the drug cartels in south of the border lose their steam and stop being so scary? Is that part of it? That part of it just to continue the prohibition, the black markets, and the scary, oh God, the Mexicans are down here doing this, and it continues to give you the border security issue? And do you lose that with I don't know.
I think that what you're kind of talking about, we know with absolute certainty that criminalizing drugs, marijuana in particular, because of how not dangerous it is, but really all drugs in general, is not effective at preventing drug use, preventing drug trafficking, and reducing harm that comes from drugs. We know this. The science knows this. And it really does upset me when people, with COVID were like, oh, well, you got to listen to the science. But then, like, with shit like this, they'll be like, no, well, we just got to keep it illegal because that's the way it's always been, and that's Joe Biden's entire argument here. Like, there is no actual legitimate fact-based scientific argument to be made for the prohibition of drugs. It's entirely just, I'm old and this is how it's always been done. And so we're going to keep doing it this way.
Biden is from, I was thinking about this today. Biden is from the generation of when the war on drugs started, and Nixon started this to get all these hippies who are on campuses who are protesting in Vietnam and protesting civil rights. And this was an easy way for him to get back. And I was thinking about, and now here's Biden, and he's got all these kids on the campuses who are protesting all this stuff with Palestine and Israel. And, just thinking about the connections between that. He was back here whenever that all started, the whole marijuana becoming evil and illegal the way that it is today. And then now here we are, kind of a different issue. But again, we've got kids that we're about to criminalize kids protesting Israel.
Mm-hmm. It is what you're alluding to. It is about the control, right? Like, it's the reason that the government wants it to be so illegal is because it allows them greater opportunity to control the population. If you make a drug that a lot of people are going to use, especially younger people who tend to cause you more problems, you can use the existence of that drug to do a hell of a lot of things to those people, like throw them in prison, even though that's not beneficial to society. It just allows the government more control. And it was really funny because I was telling TJ yesterday that I recently watched American Gangster, and it was so funny watching this film made in the 90s about the 60s and 70s. And there's a news segment on it where talking about how, yeah, the opioids and marijuana coming out of Vietnam, and they're getting our troops addicted to them. And I'm like, that sounded so ridiculous to me. And to me, in the year 2024, I'm like, that almost sounds satirical. But I know when this movie was made in the 90s, that line didn't sound crazy. Like, it didn't sound like they were making fun of the it when that movie was made, that line was intentionally meant to paint the marijuana as equally as bad. And it really blows my mind that anyone even bought it back then. Like, I wasn't there. I wasn't around. But I feel like anyone could have been like, yeah, no, clearly the people I know who are smoking pot aren't like these people who are doing opium. It's so clear and obvious. I don't know how this myth ever even started, because I also feel like most people have done pot. Like, am I wrong about that? I haven't even looked, but I feel like a lot more people have done pot than fucking heroin. And I think there's a reason for that.
So, Todd, I forgot to warn you. John is like 27 years old, and he likes to flex on us that he wasn't around for the 90s. And so just to get used to that,
I was around. I was just,
well, you don't remember much of it. So, these subtle strays he throws in there, don't take them personally. Like, he likes to do that. But
I said the 60s and 70s, TJ, please. Like, I wasn't around for the 60s.
I thought you meant American Gangster and how
that was made in the 90s. Yeah, I didn't watch American Gangster when
I take it back. I take it back. I'm a fair man. But so this idea that marijuana is, this wildly dangerous drug dates back to, I want to say, the 1920s or 30s. And it's kind of like this vestige of maybe Horace Greeley. Was he around in the 20s? It was somewhere back then, like early 19th century, or late 19th century, early 20th century. And Horace Greeley was like a newspaper magnate, among other things. And he realized that a lot of people were starting to use hemp as a substitute for paper, for rope, and for, or twine, different things. And so he didn't want that competition. He wanted to stick it with timber, and he didn't want to be undercut by people who were using cannabis. So he helped fund this campaign, like, nationwide, to get people scared of, they stopped calling it cannabis and started calling it marijuana, because it's the scary Mexican name, which frightened the good Christian folk of the United States. And they would release these videos of reefer madness that, Black people and Hispanic people were, taking puffs of marijuana and just going crazy, attacking white women and committing crime, and which is really hilarious, because all weed does is make you chill, all the time. But it helped propagate this notion that marijuana was incredibly dangerous, and that was the foundation of the fear of marijuana. And then as time went on, Nixon, as Todd mentioned, used the war on drugs as he said it out loud. Like, it was Nixon. I mean, he wasn't hiding the shit, that it was a weapon to undercut the power of hippies and Black people. I mean, that's exactly what he said. And then Reagan came along and supercharged it. So for the better part of a century now, Americans have been fed this steady diet that marijuana is dangerous. And as time's gone on, more and more people are like, okay, no, it's not. But folks like Joe Biden, who was, born, Jesus, when was Biden born? Like the 30s or something. They still kind of hold on to that. And a lot of those people are in power. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it too, that a lot of the older people are the ones holding the levers of power. And the prison industrial complex is a good point. I actually didn't think about that when I was considering this, because I remember when I was working here in the Army, I remember a guy was trying to join the Army, and he had I can't remember why he spent a night in jail or something. It was some minor infraction, whatever. And I had to go to the jail to get the fact that he spent the night here in jail or whatever, public intoxication or whatever it was. And he said, "Oh yeah, it's a private jail." I was like, "What?" I had actually never heard of a private jail before. I had never heard. It's like, as like that sounds like something that shouldn't exist for like 1,000 very obvious reasons. And you have this, and there aren't a lot of them actually. Like for private prisons and private jails, make up like it's single digit percentages of the prisons in the United States. But they are private and they have a lot of money behind it, so they will donate a whole lot to keep stuff illegal because it makes them a lot of money. So they have this outsized influence just because it affects their bottom dollar. And I'm positive that does. That's a good point, John. I believe that too.
For sure. And the one thing that was brought up earlier that I wanted to address was the Joe Biden of it all in terms of electoral politics. And it was really funny in the article that you sent over, TJ, how it was just like, oh yeah, and the administration might hope to that this improves their image with young voters. And I'm just like, that's such an insane thing.
Insulting.
Like,
insulting.
Laughably insulting. Even if he had like full on just said, yeah, it's legal now, I would be like, yeah, that's laughably insulting. But at least I would buy the argument that like it could be construed as, hey, he's trying to appeal to youth voters. But like, how does this appeal to young people? Even where it's like where I am, it's decriminalized. I can go over to Jersey and buy it recreationally. I don't need to, because it's so like it's the older people who this actually affects, the people trying to start marijuana businesses, all that. The young people have been buying it illegally for decades and have never had a problem with it. Like, I don't understand how changing the schedule of the drug is supposed to appeal to the young. Like, most people don't even understand what that means. I just thought that was really funny.
I'm not even sure. I read like 5 articles on this and I couldn't get a definitive answer of what it even means to lower it to Schedule 3. It says that the restrictions. Oh, go ahead, Todd.
I think the thing that it means the most for young people, like, one, everybody can get marijuana, even wherever it's illegal. The cops don't care about it unless they're trying to get you for something else and it's just PC and they smell it. The one thing I think that it does improve quality of life is the fact that if you've got a good job and they piss test you, changing it to a Schedule 3 means now you don't get fired for having marijuana.
Oh, okay.
If you're in the military and you're getting random drug tested, then you no longer get separated for having marijuana in your system or get sent to counseling or therapy, whatever they do. I think that's the biggest impact. I mean, nobody's getting locked up for marijuana outside of people who are trafficking it in large amounts, maybe getting a ticket at the most for doing it. But going to your job and getting high the weekend before, and they're like, hey, you're up for a random, and tomorrow you're losing your job. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and that's definitely a positive effect of like it doesn't feel right shitting on Biden for this necessarily, because it is it's a positive thing, but like it's such an insultingly small thing. It's like hey, please sir, may I have another, and them giving it to you, and then you're supposed to be grateful. Like not really.
It's a too little, too late type of thing, really. Because so I don't know if I talked to you about this, John. So if you've heard me give the speech before, I apologize, but I want to get you guys' opinions on this. So whenever Biden came out with a big announcement that they're going to look at trying to reschedule marijuana, but they have to go through, this, Rube Goldberg machine esque, type of thing, trying to find out all the steps to get it done. What I said is that's stupid. What Biden should do is just unilaterally announce marijuana is decriminalized now, or marijuana is legal. Just do it. Stroke of a pen, boom, done. And I got a lot of flack from people saying, well, he can't really do that. I was like, I don't care. He should do it anyway. He should do it. Yeah. He should still do it.
Make someone stop him. Then they're the bad guy.
Exactly, because what all these fucking nerds would say is like, well, if he does that, the Republicans are going to challenge him in court, and it's going to be dragged out. He'll probably lose. Once again, I don't care. Do it anyway. Make the Republican Party have a year-long, protracted, very public court case against the president of the United States, in which they're arguing that marijuana is as dangerous as heroin and should be illegal. Like make them say it over, like Leonard Johnson said, make the son of a bitch say it. Like, make them say this every day. Make them defend this position, even if Biden loses. And let's grant that he loses. Let's say he does lose in court. There's no way that's a political loss. Like, you will be the guy that said, hey, I did everything I could to make marijuana legal, and the Republican Party stood in the way. Tell me how that hurts him. I once again, look, I've never been a politician, and Biden's been one longer than I've been alive, so maybe he knows something I don't know. But I have a hard time believing that that is a failing plan. I don't get it at all. Definitely better than this one.
I think it's just one of those boomer things. We're coming up on 4. His first term's almost over, and he couldn't even get this done. Like, just opportunity. If you weren't going to do it, then why'd you say something about it 2 years ago?
Yeah. It's God. It is very frustrating. But hey, look, we'll take what we can get, I guess. It's like, I agree with what you said, John, is that yeah, it's good. I'm just not sure how much good it's going to do. Like, especially since we don't even know when this is going to happen, when this is going to kick in. It's kind of weird. All right, cool. So I wanted to bring something up that you talk about, Todd. This is this is related to the topic, but not necessarily directly tied in. So one thing that I've always hated is random drug tests at work. I never thought that was cool. And I also don't like drug tests to get into a job, like for an application, because it doesn't make any sense to me. So I smoked weed 3 weeks ago, and now I apply for this job, and you're saying, nope, sorry, you can't do it because you got high 3 weeks ago. Why? What does that have to do with, my performance on the job? Now, if I'm at work and, I injure myself and you want to do a drug test to make sure, fine, that makes sense. Okay. But, the drug test doesn't mean you're high at the interview. It means you were high, like going back 30 or 45 days. I never agreed with that. I never thought that was a good idea. It seems like it should be illegal. Like, what the
really
fuck business is it of yours? So go ahead.
It really, it seems like a fucking health violation. Like, it's just like, that's my personal fucking business.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand how that's relevant to any employer. Like,
it's not. And it's like, well, you're inebriated. So, but drinking is fine. I mean,
yeah,
like, if you got drunk the night before, that's not going to show up. But that's the same principle, right? Like, why?
Legal recreational drugs, I could maybe buy the argument, but we have many legal recreational drugs. So I don't get why some employers are allowed to not hire you for, but some they aren't. It doesn't make any sense.
So this is something that I figured out 2 years ago. When I got out of the Army and I was like applying for jobs and everything, because I remember applying for jobs, like Tyson factories, retail and stuff like that. And I remember doing, drug tests and everything for those jobs. But once, at least I don't know you guys, well, I guess Todd can't speak to it just yet, but John, once you get to like higher positions, they don't do that shit anymore. Like, I've never taken, ever since I got out and I get like, program manager jobs and stuff, they have never drug tested me. It's like, all right, you're good to go. It's for the pores.
I've not been drug tested since like my job out of college. Like,
exactly. Like, this is
the high school jobs like I did growing up, like the jobs I did in college. Yeah, they all fucking drug tested me. But like, after that first one, it was just, I don't give a shit.
And look, no one does more drugs than like upper middle class management types. They fucking love it. They do it all the time. Yeah. So that's another thing that's incredibly unfair. It's like, oh, you need this job to survive. If you don't get this job, you could very well miss your next rent payment or your car payment or your child support or whatever. All right, we're going to gatekeep the hell out of this, but you're applying for your third, 6-figure job of the last, 5 years. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, you're good. You're fine. We know you're okay. It's really fucked up. I'm glad, because I noticed that a couple of years ago, but that's pretty weird. And
that's your fault, because you should just stay off the weed.
Stay off the weed.
Come on, DJ.
The same people that would argue that you should be able to be drug tested by your employer because XYZ are the same people who say your employer shouldn't be able to make sure that you're vaccinated to keep everybody safe in the office.
Right. Right. Yeah. Weird how that works.
All right, guys, if you have made it this far in the video, you're probably like me and absolutely losing your mind right now and feeling like the entire world is taking crazy pills because absolutely nothing makes sense. But luckily for you, we're here to make sense of it for you. And so is our wonderful guest this week, SupermanTodd. Superman, if our audience wanted to find you somewhere else, they liked what you had to say today, where can they do that?
Hey, I'm just pretty much only on TikTok at SupermanTodd 2. I had a pretty good following on TikTok before I got permanently banned about a year or so ago. So my following's not nearly as big as it was, but just SupermanTodd 2, kind of known as the Southern Liberal. So just hit me up on TikTok and we'll have a good time together.
Appreciate it, Todd. His account was banned by my other account, Lex Luthor TJ was responsible for taking that down. So it was a pretty good time, but we appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to tune in next week.